Hey, how's it going? I hope you're doing good. So, I'm gonna do a sort of I don't want to say a review, but it is kind of a review. What I've got here is some Yangtze barbecue pork from Costco. Okay, this is what it comes in. It comes in two pretty large pieces, and then in the center of it, between the two pieces, not in the meat, but just on the packaging, like in a deli sandwich from the grocery store, is some sesame seeds and Yangtze hot mustard. Now, this is a plate, okay, of 15 slices, okay? I think I tried to number out 15 slices. So, and it comes by the weight. This was 1.9 pounds, and the cost was $11.38. And so I sliced the pork, the barbecue pork. And so when I was growing up, we would go to a Chinese restaurant, and they would have an appetizer of barbecue pork, and it basically looked like this. Sometimes it was a little bit more red on the edges and a little bit more pale in the center. But it was always like really good, and I think it was a little bit sweet, and you could also dip it in mustard and sesame seeds. So what I'm going to do is actually, now that I remember that, I'm going to get a little dish for the sesame seeds, because when I used to go to the restaurant, there was a dish of sesame seeds, and so the idea was you would dip the barbecue pork in the mustard, and then dip the mustard in the sesame seeds, and it would cover the barbecue pork. Let me just get a little dish here, and I'll get two dishes, one for the mustard, one for the sesame seeds, and I'll just get these little dishes here so I can set it up appropriately. And it was always like kind of a fun appetizer at the Chinese restaurants that I would go to. It became more common. I shouldn't say as more Chinese restaurants open, but just okay, let's see if I can get these sesame seeds to pour into here without spilling them everywhere. This is not coming out fast enough. Let's see. Okay, let's see. I did not use this knife to cut the pork, so these sesame seeds in here are dry, but the bag that it comes in, the sealed bag that it comes in, has a lot of liquid in it. Not a ton, but just a fair amount of liquid in it. Like as much as you would get in a hot dog like a package of hot dogs, or a little bit more than you would get in a package of hot dogs. And let me read to you the packaging. Let me read you the packaging. This is the sesame seeds. Normally there would be a fair amount more in there, or a fair amount more of the Chinese hot mustard. And excuse me, I'm getting the hiccups. So you can see there, I've got a little bit of extra pork on there that kind of came off, and it's so slippery with when these little disposable bags of ketchup or anything gets wet, it's like impossible to open. It says tear here, so let's see where that means. I do not have a tear spot there. So what I'm going to do is use the knife to cut at the dotted line and then tear this off. So I would definitely say that the overall packaging and presentation is a little bit confusing, because it's 2 pounds of meat, and because Costco sells in bulk, Okay, so you probably, you're not going to get your regular, individual serving at Costco, but you're going to have quite a bit of meat, which is, 2 pounds of barbecue pork. And it's great that they include the hot mustard, because if you were first time using this, you would probably say, what do I eat it with? Do I just cut it? It's like a cured meat, because actually I want to read this to you. And obviously, if you've been to a restaurant, you might have remembered they have the mustard and the sesame seeds. But confusing in the sense that it's not, you couldn't serve this to more than one person and expect them to also have very much of the mustard and the sesame seeds. That's what I'm saying. So it's not like ready to go out of the package. The meat is, but the mustard is not. So if you're going to eat more of this, you would need to find either Yangtze Chinese hot mustard or Chinese hot mustard from a grocery store like a Walmart, or a grocery store that might have some of that stuff. And the same is with just plain sesame seeds. There's no writing on the sesame seeds, so I don't know if these are toasted sesame seeds, if these are raw sesame seeds, if these are Chinese restaurant sesame seeds, that type of thing. But let me read you the Yangtze Chinese style cured. So it's a cured meat. Barbecue pork, artificially colored, oven roasted, and ready to serve, packed with Chinese-style hot mustard and sesame seeds. It says keep refrigerated, and it's called January Company, and they're in Kent, Washington. And so, and it's U.S. inspected, and it says no MSG added, and they said no MSG except for that naturally occurring in soy sauce, which is kind of good to know, because you say, well, I didn't know that MSG was naturally occurring in soy sauce. It's sometimes been built up to be something, terrible and stuff. I guess if it naturally occurs in soy sauce, then there must be some fermentation process with soybeans and soy sauce that can cause that. But that's totally different. So anyway, from when I was at the restaurants, what we would do is we would take a piece of pork, and usually we'd have chopsticks, but I'm going to use my fingers. I would dip it into the mustard, and then dip that mustard into the sesame seeds. And that tastes sort of restaurant quality right there. I would say when I tried it plain, it was slightly different from restaurant. But once I dip it into the mustard and the sesame seeds, that spiciness from the mustard makes me think it's from a restaurant, basically. When I cut it open, the process of cutting it open and slicing it definitely made me think more, grocery packaged item, which I don't know that should make much of a difference, but I don't know how that should make much of a difference. I guess as a kid, going to a Chinese restaurant for, one of the first times or something, I had no idea how they would make it, right? How would you make barbecue pork, from being a kid? You probably just didn't really understand or anything. I have to say, as a customer at Costco, I really like this product a lot better, that I've taken the time to sit down and have it with the mustard and the sesame seeds. When I get it, I sort of say, how am I going to cut all that stuff up and prepare it if I don't have enough mustard or stuff. But when I have the mustard and the sesame seeds, I seem to like it a lot more. Where I'm at in Sun Valley right now is that I did the grocery store earlier today. What I'm going to have to do this afternoon, or because I'm at my parents', is go in and look in the pantry and see if there's any Chinese hot mustard in there. Because in previous packages of this, we would have this in different ways, but without having the Chinese mustard and the sesame seeds, because there's not enough for everything. So I'm gonna have to see if in the pantry we have Chinese hot mustard, or if I go to the grocery store to get it. But we can see here there's still one more packet of Chinese hot mustard, and the cured meat is pretty good. I think it's actually pretty good. And as it dries a little bit, because the humidity here is dry in Idaho, some of that pale color is coming out in the pork a little bit more. Like when I first opened it, it was much more reddish through it, and then as it's dried, you're getting that sort of that more pale pork color. So I'm so glad I did this, because what I was probably going to do a lot of times when I get the individual packets, I don't take the time to use them. I say, oh, I don't need this, or it's not good with it, or whatever, or it's too much, or it's too little, or save them. Sometimes you save the packets, and then you end up with all these packets of stuff like ketchup and different sauces and stuff. And you say, well, I'm never going to use it or anything like that. So the packets, but you'd end up not using as many of the packets. You say, well, how do you change that, right? I don't really know, because a lot of times if you're at a restaurant, they give you the packets. You're like, oh, I know how much is in each packet, but if you were to ask for a dish, you don't necessarily want the whole dish filled, right? So it's going to be my last piece. If I can get some of this sesame seeds on here. I've used all the sesame seeds. There's still some in here. I'm going to have to get a knife or a spoon. And I've used one of the mustards. So I have one mustard left. And I'm just going to have to find out where to get that. If I can find some in the pantry, or if I go to the grocery store and look there. The Chinese hot mustard is good that comes with it. And I'm going to end there. I hope you're doing good, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.